Welcome, everybody, to our coverage of the 2021 Pro Masters Disc Golf World Championships in Johnson City, Tennessee, powered by Infinite Discs. You are watching MP55 Lead Card Round 3 Back 9 coverage, brought to you by BDub Pro. Providing commentary for today's round is myself, Cameron Makiling, and my good friend Grant Zellner of the PDGA. Taking a look at the scores from the front nine, you can see James Collin and Andy Ritter are still tied for the lead at 20 under par. Roger Reyes taking a stroke lead there on Johnny Rumble, but things are still tight, and they played a clean front nine. And here we are at hole 10, a 264-foot par 3. This one has a very tight hallway you need to get through for the first 100 or so feet, and then it opens up a little bit more, and you have more room to play with up here.
You sure do. Now, these guys don't know it right now, but they've got a couple of hard chargers coming at them from the chase card. One even has, for the moment, eked into the top 3, so they've got to keep the pedal down, especially our two leaders.
Ooh, and that is sawed off very far to the right.
Just what James didn't need. Johnny Rumble with the correction.
And that is great. That is going to buy him a pretty easy putt, just at maybe circle's edge.
Once again, if you can't tell, this hole plays uphill. Not as substantially as others, but you can see just 246 feet. These guys throwing really hard and still coming up short of the hole. So the uphill is playing a factor, unless, of course, you're Roger.
Yeah, he found the height that he needed to get all the way up there, and he's going to have the easiest putt of the group for sure. That is a great scramble, though, from James after a not-so-great drive.
Yeah, really bad footing. He handles it well.
Half run there from Andy, not wanting to go too far past the basket in case he missed, and he's going to have an easy par putt. Ooh.
Johnny!
A little far right there, buddy. Easy par putt there from Andy. And Roger going to take a solo bird here.
Picks up a stroke on the entire card.
And takes the box. Here at hole 11. 305-foot par 3. This one is nice and open up until the end, where the basket is tucked up into those trees, and by up I mean uphill. And this one's only probably maybe 25 feet in elevation change overall, but it does have a lot of guardian trees right there at circle's edge.
Well, and if you notice, that 25 feet in elevation change all happens at the very, very end, which makes this honestly kind of a bonus birdie.
Yep. Yeah, if you can get it all the way and run it into the hillside underneath the basket, you will have a look at a bird, though.
Roger throwing the disc really hard, counting on a skip, hit a bit of a root, but he's right about circle's edge.
And that needs to go up there a little bit more, but he gets inside the circle.
You can see the circle line, an orange line painted there. He's about a stride inside that line, so about 29, 30 feet. Ooh, Johnny Rumble gets up into the circle as well, and Andy looking to make it 4 circle 1 putts for these guys. He goes with a roller, and that looks awesome. I couldn't believe it when I saw him do this, and then I really couldn't believe the finish.
Wow, that was fantastic. Oh, tickles the chains. And unfortunately, our star frame dreams for this hole are falling away from us quickly.
Notice
there's
though,
one birdie though.
That's one. Yeah, notice though both of those misses, they're not too upset about it because they know it's a bonus birdie 100%. Anyway.
Would have been a bonus star frame. So
no doubt about it.
Great birdie there from Andy and a couple easy pars. Nothing to be too upset about.
Yeah, Andy really doing what Andy does, which is finding a way to get a birdie when everybody else doesn't. Or finding a way to save a par when everybody else doesn't. That's kind of Andy's game.
Hole 12, 229-foot par 3. We are moving back into the woods pretty seriously. You can see this is a lot more similar to the earlier holes we saw in the front nine. Guardian trees right at the basket, and the fun one about this one is if you go past the basket, it opens up and drops you down a hill.
straight down the hill. In fact, lots and lots of tee shots look great, and then it turns out they're 45 or 50 feet behind because of usually a roll.
Yeah, roll, or even if you get a skip in front of the basket, you'll end up just carrying. He just air shots it past the basket and falls all the way to the flat in the bottom. He's going to be probably 65 feet away.
Yeah, a lot of the players actually hoping for the airmail over one of the other two options because at least then you kind of know what you get.
And Andy manages to get a little bit of tree love, and it puts him down within 15 feet of the basket.
Roger, again, throwing a slow blunt-nosed disc.
Off the front of the cage. We are going to take a look at that one more time. He, with a very serious ace run here. Look at that flight. Nice turn off the tee pad. It gets flat enough for him to get that good hit. That tree kicks him right towards the basket, and it just needed to be literally an inch higher, and that's in. But that is a fantastic throw. This is a great hole to get a 2 on.
Throws a hard putter.
Did not get enough turn on it, and he's going to have a long... This is one you can't run.
Not really. Yeah. No, not really.
Yep, he's hoping just to set it down. Oh, stop. Oh, good catch by that little branch, tree, shrub, whatever it is.
Poison ivy, probably.
Oh, I hope not. Johnny Rumble from deep. Oh, almost gets it to me. Oh, misses just a little bit right. Doesn't even tickle the chains there. Great birdie from Andy.
Andy doing what Andy does.
A par from Johnny Rumble. And I believe this is about to be James's first bogey of the round. Managed to hold it down for 12 holes or 11 holes, and on the 12th finally took one. And after that amazing ace run, you got Roger Reyes with a very well-earned tap-in birdie. Hole 13, 270-foot par 3. This one is uphill and to the right, and there is so many trees between you and the basket. There's this hill here, too, that you have to try and crest over. And, you know, unless you have a 270-foot high forehand, I don't really see a way to get all the way through the basket here.
You can get there if you have a disc sort of begin to pan out just right. Here goes Andy.
Right into the tree.
Early tree. Andy had just opened up a bit of a lead. He had the hot round of the day going in the entire division and then stepped up on the next tee box and catches the early tree and goes down into nowhere.
Oh, and Johnny does a similar thing. These trees on this tee pad are eating everyone up.
All four.
Wow.
So Roger's drive ends up being the best drive of the group.
That was a good out there from Johnny. James looking to get up there. Oh, and he gets kicked down by those low-hanging branches.
Andy just in absolute jail. All he can do is pitch out.
And that's a good-looking throw there. Oh, needed to get around that last tree.
And here's Roger already with a chance to pick up a stroke on the card. All he's got to do is execute an upshot and a putt. He's got half of that job taken care of.
And that was a nice little forehand. I remember him saying on the course that he did not like that forehand at all. And he got up there. It was a lot closer than he thought it was.
13 holes in, it's the first forehand we have seen from anyone on this card.
Yeah, you can. These, like I mentioned yesterday, these older gentlemen really like to play the turnover backhand shot. It's just, you know, a product of their era. And it's interesting to see because nowadays you see so many guys go with the forehand play on any of those holes where these guys are going to throw that big turning backhand.
Roger with that stroke, I should say a minimum of one stroke on the card, with a par. A par on a 270-foot hole gets you a stroke or more on the rest of your card mates. That gives you an idea of how The difficulty of a hole is a lot more than just the distance of the hole. It has to do with the shape that you've got to throw. And I will say this, multiple players agreed with me on this. This course, very heavily wooded, but they all agree, very fair. It feels like a fair course.
Yes, it does. Even as a spectator and cameraman, I thought that it was very fair out there. Hole 14, 246 feet. This one has a lot of trees, and the basket is going to be up here a little bit to the left. And on this hillside, you can see that it has a lot of potential for rollaways.
Yep.
And a lot of potential to get knocked down by these trees that are hanging out right in front of the basket inside the circle.
Really able to gas their tee shots in a way they haven't been able to for a couple of holes here. Circle's edge. Yeah. Really good shot by Roger. Andy here.
Got to find the gap.
Oh. So close to excellent. And he knew it. His reaction off of that tee pad was one of disappointment.
Oh, and a similar result there for James as he finds an early tree. And Johnny Rumble with a little bit later of a tree, and it gets him a little farther forward, but he is still definitely outside the circle.
No one with a super realistic chance at birdie here, except, of course, for Roger.
A couple of safe and smart upshots from James and Andy there.
Even rollaways on this course tend to feel relatively fair, at least as fair as a rollaway can feel, in that you usually have to make a mistake like that in order to generate the rollaway, so you have no one to be upset with but yourself.
Ooh, luckily that one sat down for him.
I'm sure there were a few players that would disagree with what I just said. They probably had an unlucky rollaway or two yesterday, but we didn't see too many on this card.
And a bogey there for Johnny Rumble. And we're going to see a bunch of tap-ins here. Pars for everyone else as Johnny loses his stroke to the card. And we're going to take...
Disc golf was a sport that nobody knew about when I first started playing. I had to explain it to my parents, my family.
When I first started, I grew up in Ohio playing disc golf and just playing locally.
It was, not as big of a deal. There was never a gallery. There was never video coverage. I've been touring for the last decade and seeing this early point in development now to this crazy growth.
Parents can want their kids to play disc golf because there's a future there, there's money, there's professionalism.
I just imagine it just getting bigger and better, and I'm excited to be part of it.
And we are back from commercial break at hole 15, a 443-foot par 4. There's a motorcycle going by our Airbnb very loudly. Thank you very much, sir. This one is downhill. There are a lot of trees on the right and left, and it is a long downhill throw for how narrow the fairway is.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit of a hallway. Not a terribly scary shot, just a shot that is going to take some precision execution to get it down there.
Oh, yep, and see, that is the mistakes. The mistake you don't want to make is going off of the fairway like that.
This is that Corvette from Andy, and this shot had everybody oohing and awing all the way down. He is pin high on the circle's edge.
That is crazy. We are going to watch that in slow motion right here.
443 feet.
You can't ask for a better drive on this hole. Look at that. Wow, what a shot. It still just gets all the way down there, and he is going to buy himself a second look at an eagle. Hopefully he can convert this time. Not often you buy yourself 2 eagle looks in one round.
Having to follow that, it's James.
And that's looking good if it can stay out of the trees down there. Oh, not bad. He just has to get around that little cluster to get to the basket. Johnny Rumble throwing it down. Stays in the middle of the fairway the whole time. That was a good drive.
Johnny Rumble following the script for this hole that most players are trying to do. Andy just absolutely sailing something long.
James tries to go through them instead of around them and ends up getting kicked out to the middle there.
Roger, a little high.
We did miss one of Roger's throws on the course, so that was his third toss.
Never really on line with that putt. Didn't look comfortable.
This is for a 2 here. And there you have it, folks. That is an eagle from your leader, Andy Ritter. Fantastic. I do not get to use the eagle graphic very often. That is very exciting.
Everybody thrilled for Andy.
There you go. Nice easy tap out par there, essentially, for Roger. A little more than a tap out, but at 10 feet, I don't think any of these guys are sweating.
They just love watching good golf. Happy for each other when each other throws a good shot.
Yeah, these guys were all so supportive when Andy nailed that big eagle. They were just excited to see one in person. I was too, for that matter.
Felt like seeing a mermaid.
Yep, great birdie there from Johnny Rumble. And we are moving on to hole 16. Only a couple holes left here. 577-foot par 4. We are going uphill, 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 uphill for this one. What would you say? This has got to be 6 stories up.
It's a rough hole to come this late in your round. Your legs are beginning to really tire out at this point, and now you've got to walk about 1.5 football fields straight up.
In the sun for 90%.
In the direct sunlight, yep. And here's Andy. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's the same Corvette that he threw on the last hole. And there it goes again.
Getting some good carry. That is such a pretty-looking flex shot when he throws those.
All these players trying to beat that evergreen right there.
Yep. That's the one to get past, and Johnny does it.
That's all they want out of this hole, is to beat that evergreen if they can without being too far left. If you're too far left, you have a much more difficult second shot up to this. We'll call it an elevated green because, I mean, it's like throwing up to a rooftop.
A very tall rooftop from down here, at least. Oh, and that's going to turn a little too hard and get an unfortunate ground skip to the left there.
Yeah, it really takes birdie out of play. I mean, he threw that second shot there really, really well. Just can't get it up there from too far away.
Johnny Rumble with his second throw. Gets it up there. Going to give him a look at a 3. And Roger just pitching out so he can be back in the fairway there and actually have a look towards the basket.
Green light for Andy. He knows he has a chance to pick up a stroke on the card. That's the 3rd throw for that same Corvette in a row.
Roger. Ooh, that's a great approach. Just going to put himself down inside the circle. Going to save his par, hopefully, here. And a great approach there also from James. A nice light bid there. Oh, and a couple missed birdie putts, and we're going to see everyone hoping to clean up their pars here now.
That's probably on the round the most disappointed I've seen Andy in any one shot, just because he knew that was a stroke on the card and it was a makeable putt that he'd been making all day long. And it wasn't demonstrative in any way, but just that was probably the most disappointed I ever saw him in his effort.
Everyone cleaning up some pars here. Nothing wrong with a par frame, especially on a hole that long. And that uphill. Oh, I was misspoken. There's a bogey. But we're moving on to hole 17, our penultimate hole here. 286-foot par 3. We are going downhill, through the woods, and to the right. I feel like we've seen very similar holes to this one already. But there's a kind of a theme going on here at Winged Deer. This one, you want to find the right line, or just any line, and get it down here, and hopefully land somewhere in this lightly grassy area, right in that dirt, and not get too much slide action. And it's birdieable, but it's a tough birdie.
Just our second purposeful forehand of the round right there from Andy.
Oh, and that's sliding nice.
Just a
gonna have a look.
fantastic shot. Yeah, it really was a good shot.
Kept it really low the whole time and just rode the hill all the way down.
These guys know the basic shape they're going for on this hole. They know they're not going to be able to see the last probably 25% of the flight. So
here we go, another forehand, 2 on the same hole even.
again, it's another mermaid, man.
And unfortunately, that disc is like purple, black. We had no idea. Neither of us could see it on the camera.
He's
but
about
he
15
is-
feet long.
Yep, he is down there inside the circle looking at a birdie.
Mm-hmm.
Good layup there from James.
Got a little bit of a roll, but nothing he can't handle.
Oh, and he just leaves a little bit left to bite off on that putt. James going to clean up his par and move on to the last hole there. Tough back 9 for James.
Here's Roger with a chance to pick that stroke back up on the card that he just lost.
And there it is.
He really focused on that putt.
Mm-hmm.
I watched him closely. He's a slow, not a slow player, but he's a methodical player anyway. That putt in particular, though, he knew that he needed it if he wanted any chance to stay in the conversation.
100%. Last hole of the round here. 364-foot par 3. This one, the only gap you really got to worry about is this initial one here, and as long as you can get it cooking to the right once you're past these trees, as long as you stay off the road, which is a lot farther than it seems, you have a birdie look, but this is another tough one to end on.
Yeah, it requires a perfect and a very particular shape to actually get close to the hole, which feels like you've got to throw it about 400 feet to do it.
And he misses the gap by just a couple inches there.
Andy putting that really, really high. If it had gotten through, it might have had a chance to get up in the neighborhood of the hole.
And that's looking all right there from Johnny Rumble with a late tree. Someone's got to get all the way out of here.
Great shape.
Oh, all 4 guys
Last
stopped
tree.
right up there at the gap.
At this point, everybody just wants to be able to fall asleep tonight without having a bogey hanging over their heads. They want to feel like they ended the round on a solid note.
Going to see some textbook, safe, smart approach shots here from all 3 of these gentlemen so that they can all par out together and head home for the afternoon.
Yeah, nobody really trying to make it here.
And we got 4 par putts. Hopefully we see 4 pars.
You can see by the way he's walking how steep that hillside is. Once again, the camera not quite doing justice to how uphill this particular green is.
That's 3. And that's 4. And they will all sleep just a little easier knowing they finished their round clean. And that is going to wrap up our round here with the MP55 division. Taking a look at the scorecards, you can see that Andy Ritter is now the solo leader after finishing his round 8 under. James Collins drops off just a little bit and ends up tied for 3rd with Roger Reyes. And Johnny Rumble all the way down there at 9th now, unfortunately, after a tough round there for Johnny. Some other names joining the lead card are Hank Kerwin, Jerry Goff, and Roger Reyes maintaining his spot up there at the bottom. Follow us at PDGA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and head to pdga.com and join if you are not already a member.